morning and welcome to the Jobs for National's 5th virtual Emiratisation career fair. Assalamu alaikum to everybody who's joining us, who's part of this event. And we've got an exciting about 30 minutes talking to two of the industry leaders in a very different market segment. So we've got one of the companies that is largest restaurant operator in the MENA region and Kazakhstan in terms of number of restaurants. And the second organization that is joining us for the panel discussion is a premier, a fully integrated provider of engineering and construction solutions to the energy industry. So I'd like to welcome Thomas Burnett and Peter Meredith from Americana Restaurants.
Hi, Dinesh. Yes, we're delighted to be here. Thanks.
Apologies that your camera isn't operational, but we can hear you loud and clear. And I'd also like to welcome Joanne Guthrie from McDermott.
Hey, Dinesh. Thanks very much. Really
Pleasure.
excited to be part of this discussion today.
Great. Thank you for joining us. So this is an informal discussion. It is to talk about the company strategies, company growth, and talk about Emiratisation strategies, mainly on how your companies are working on Emiratisation and supporting UAE national talent. So, starting on, I suppose, in alphabetical order, I will start with Americana. So Thomas and Peter, could you please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about Americana Restaurants?
You highlighted already, Americana Restaurants is the biggest food operator here in the Middle East. I think we are well known for our iconic brands. I think everybody enjoys KFC, Pizza Hut, Hardee's, at lunch or dinner, and I think once in a while some nice Krispy Kreme donuts. I think this is us. This is what is behind Americana, and we have our headquarters here in the UAE, and I think there's lots of beautiful job and growth opportunities in the UAE from that. Obviously, we have around 2,300 restaurants, a big amount here in the UAE, but the rest is split across the GCC region, as you said, as well as Morocco and also Kazakhstan. So very happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. And I'm here with Peter. I'm the head of HR, and Peter is the head of our learning development area. And so happy to share more on Emiratisation and what we do more.
Okay, great. Thanks for that introduction. So not too long ago, just last year, Americana Restaurants went public. And I read that it raised about $1.8 billion with Mohammed Al-Abbar as one of the investors. So could you tell us how that has had an impact on business?
Look, I think Americana Restaurants, we have it clearly on our website stated. Our strategy is to grow the iconic brands in the region, and that money that we raised indeed will be further used for realizing that growth. So for us, there's a growth aspiration that is very strong, and I think that growth aspiration also allows to give people in the company a lot of growth opportunities to develop themselves.
Okay, and what is the current total headcount of the UAE business?
In the UAE, we have slightly above 10,000 people, staff. A good amount, obviously, is in the restaurant on a daily basis serving our customers. But as well, we have our headquarters. Our headquarters is in Sharjah. And there we have, I would say, approximately 500, 600 people and roles related to that.
Okay. And if you want to talk about the Emiratisation strategy, then what is the organization's overall strategy for Emiratisation in 2023?
Good. Yes, good question. I think everybody is struggling with that question. I think the way we have tried to internally answer it is we obviously want to align it very much with our strategy for the rest of the people. We want to keep it very balanced. So we focus obviously on attracting, retaining, and developing the local talent. That is our first and foremost focus. I believe we offer competitive benefits. We target training programs. We provide opportunities, as I said earlier, for growing and advancing individuals within the really big organization that we have. So thereby we have started to partner with colleges, universities to really be early part of an individual's career development.
And there's a huge push, to be inclusive nowadays, and everybody is talking about inclusivity. So what efforts have you guys made, has American Restaurant made, to create a more inclusive work environment for Emirati employees?
Yeah, it's another good question, Dinesh. So we've made a conscious effort to put in place training programs that really focus on diversity and inclusion for all of our managers here within Americana, including things like reverse mentorship, where we can actually spend time listening to those Emiratis that join us around how they can help shape our business going forwards. And in HR specifically, we've established employee resource groups that help and support our Emirati workforce. And they're an immediate help in case of any misunderstandings, and there to support them throughout their career journey. And overall, we foster kind of open communication channels. That's very much our culture here within Americana Restaurants. And it includes regular group meetings with a direct sort of line into the CEO so that he himself can listen to their feedback going forwards as well. So lots of different channels.
Oh, that sounds great. And when we're talking about talent acquisition, then talent development also plays a big part of the acquisition and retention strategy. So has your organization taken steps to develop skills for Emirati employees? And what steps has it taken for that?
Yeah, it's a continual journey, Dinesh. Again, a very good question, and part of our culture here within Americana Restaurants. And it is specifically what young people joining our business are crying out for, is that coaching culture. So that daily routine where we provide coaching, feedback in the moment to help them develop and grow. And we're currently exploring how to best offer targeted training programs that are specific to their development needs. And we tap into and use all mechanisms from an L&D perspective in terms of forums, YouTube, Coursera. We've got a vast platform of learning solutions available to support young Emiratis that are joining our business. And our goal is to offer mentorship opportunities, professional development that clearly help our Emiratis to advance their careers and contribute as well to Americana Restaurants. And that's not specifically just for Emiratis, that's for anybody joining Americana Restaurants.
Okay, that's brilliant. So I'll come to my last question before we ask Joanna Guthrie to basically tell us more about McDermott. So what challenges has your organization encountered in implementing the Emiratisation strategies, and how have you addressed them so far?
Look, I think the next three things come to mind, and I think this is good to raise here. I think the first one and the biggest one, I guess it's top of mind for all of us. We really face so far increased competition for top talent Emirati. I think in simple words, I guess all of us are fishing in the same pond. And so that is a situation which we struggle on a daily basis. And I think you guys, with your fair today, I think provide a super opportunity to help us expand the pond a bit and be more successful. I think the second challenge that comes to mind is I would label it as cultural integration. I think inclusion is obviously top of mind for us, but it's easier said than done. So I think we really need to highlight. We have created a culture calendar to see what are the specific programs or cultural events for Emirati that are relevant. We need to teach folks, line managers in Americana, what that means. And I think that is a journey, and right. It's top of mind for us, and we're addressing it. And I think the third challenge, and maybe that is a bit more unique to us in our industry, is that a good percentage of our skilled labor, which is part of the way the calculation is done, that skilled labor sits in our restaurants. However, we have not been successful in attracting our fair share at this organizational level. So I really believe that at some moment, probably more will need to reconsider its expectation for the hospitality and food and beverage industry later this year to probably better align the supply and demand for that. So I think we are very delighted to sponsor this event, and we really hope any Emirati listening to this will consider joining us at some moment this year.
Yep. I'm certain the voices are going out and your message is going out loud and clear. You have built an impressive premium branding on Jobs for Nationals already, and that is bound to attract more applications coming through. So Thomas and Peter, thank you very much. I'd like to engage with Joanne Guthrie, who's been very patiently waiting. Joanne, thank you so much for your patience.
No problem.
And I'd like to begin with a similar set of questions to keep the conversation unified. So could you please introduce yourself and McDermott?
Sure. So I'm Joanne Guthrie. I'm head of HR for McDermott's offshore business line. McDermott's probably not as well-known brand as some of the brands mentioned by the other speakers, but we are very well-known in the oil and gas market, and we are what's known as an EPCI company. We engineer, procure, construct, and install. We work both onshore and offshore. Within the Middle East, although all of our business lines operate here to some degree, we are mainly focused on shallow water offshore development. So we work very closely with the large operators, Saudi Aramco, Qatar Energies, ADNOC, to develop their offshore fields. So what we do is very much focused on, to say, the design, the construct, the installation of offshore facilities like jackets, topside, floating production, storage, and offshore vessels. We also lay offshore pipelines and cables, so we have a large vessel fleet that work offshore. Within the Middle East, we have a headcount of about 10,000. Within UAE, we have close to 7,000. The majority of those are based around our fabrication yard in Jebel Ali, and where we have about 6,000 craft, where most of our construction within the Middle East takes place. And as you will probably see on my background, McDermott is celebrating 100 years this year. So a long history, 60 of those in the Middle East. We had a fabrication yard on Dubai Creek for many years before we moved to Jebel Ali. So it's an exciting year for us.
Okay, great. Thanks for that overview. So what is by the way, before I jump into the next question, you mentioned jackets, and
Yes.
I had to look that up. And just for the people listening, those jackets are not the jacket that I'm wearing.
No,
Those are
no.
metal structures. So
They are.
Joanne,
So
can you tell us?
yeah, so I'm not an engineer, so I'll put this in layman's terms. I'm sure if you asked an engineer, they'd have a very different answer. But a jacket is effectively what the offshore structure sits on. So you can get various designs, but most of the ones that we have in our yard at the moment are four-legged structures. And so it really is four legs that go down through and embed into the ocean floor. And it is really the base of any offshore structure. And these can be huge. If you happen to drive past McDermott's yard in Jebel Ali anytime soon, you will see some of the biggest jackets we've ever made. So yes, they're not jackets that we wear. We're not tailors.
So these jackets basically are where it's basically the foundation where the rigs are erected on. So
Correct.
Okay,
and
great.
It's not just rigs. People often think offshore you only have production rigs. I mean, you have energy generation platforms, you have storage platforms, things. So, but whatever those are, you're right. The jacket is the foundation of whatever sits on top of it. And they are often embedded very deep into the ocean floor in order to, make sure that the structure's secure.
Okay, great. So my next question is, what is the headcount of the UAE business at the moment?
Yeah, so it's close to 7,000. Like many companies through COVID, we reduced headcount quite significantly, and we're now on a sharp upward trend. About 6,000 of those are craft within our Jebel Ali facility. And they are highly skilled. I get quite irate when people refer to some of our craft as laborers, because they're not. They're highly skilled welders, fabricators, scaffolders, pipe engineers, things like that. So the majority of our headcount sits within our yard, but we have a close to 2,000 professional staff that sit within Jebel Ali as well.
Okay. And in terms of Emiratisation, I mean, what is your or McDermott's strategy for 2023?
It's interesting listening to my co-panelists that actually some of the strategy and the challenges are quite similar, even though we're in very different sectors. Our strategy for this year is, it's a journey. We were probably slightly behind the curve, to be fair, and so we are trying to play a bit of catch up. And so last year and this year, our strategy has kind of had several components. Firstly, it's really understanding the market. A lot of the skills that we recruit require engineering degrees that's highly technical. So really trying to get an understand of what does that skill set look like in the market, and how can we best tap into it. And things like today is a perfect example of us not just trying to build a pipeline, but also just understand what's out there, not for now, but for future hiring as well. It's about building a pipeline, because our requirements are very much driven by what projects we win. And so we can go from needing one person to 500 people overnight based on one project win. And so it's really, how do we build a future pipeline to make sure that as we win work, we can tap into the market effectively. And then thirdly, in terms of talent acquisition, it's about building internal capability. So we're looking at very much recruiting at what we call associate level. So that's entry level into our engineering job family. And so looking at graduates and, engineers with maybe 2 to 3 years experience, and bringing them into the organization and really starting to build talent from the bottom up. So that's really what our strategy for this year is focusing on.
Any efforts made on the inclusivity and creating an inclusive work environment specifically for Emirati employees?
Yeah, I think my answer is very similar to what Americana Group is doing. We're focusing on trying to build an inclusive culture for all our employees. We've got over 40 nationalities working in the UAE alone. And so we need to make sure that every employee can be their authentic self when they come to work for McDermott. This year in particular, we've run a lot of what we call DE&I weeks, where our global D&I lead has gone into all of our offices globally and spent a lot of time talking about what is inclusion, so that people have an actual understanding of what we mean by it. We are also focusing very much on management development and how do managers manage in a diverse workforce, and really, as I say, it's about giving everyone a voice. So very similar to what Americana Group is doing. We have ERG groups. Our CEO is very involved with open forums where people can talk very openly. So it is a journey, and our focus right now is making sure that everyone's got a voice in that journey, so that they heard, and we know how we can then build our culture around that. So as I say, nothing specific around Emiratis, but within that process, we want to make sure that they have a very strong voice, so that we can adapt and see what we can do better.
And what steps has your organization taken to develop the skills of Emirati employees? Because I do speak to a lot of companies, and there is a skills gap in the market.
Absolutely. And particularly for us, as I say, we're an offshore contractor. It's a very specific skill set. So, what we have done this year, as I say, is very much recruit at an associate level. And for those roles, it's a lot of on-the-job training. So we focus in particularly on roles in our marine group and our fabrication group, which are two of our core areas. So, graduates who join us are going to have opportunities to work offshore on offshore installation campaigns, are going to have opportunities to work in our yard and really understand the core of our business. So that then gives them opportunities across not just McDermott in the Middle East, but across McDermott globally. And then one of the things that we're focusing on and building for next year is we have a very successful graduate development program that has been within our Middle East operations for close to 30 years. And we're going to change some of the focus of that for next year to really focus on Emirati graduates. And that program's a 2-year, very structured program. It's managed by our TNOD group. There's 3 key rotations, 6 months each, where each graduate will go through our engineering, our fabrication, and our marine groups. And then the last 6 months is a little bit more bespoke, where we work with the graduate to understand maybe what some of their interests are. And so those rotations can be through our commercial groups, supply chain, bids and proposals, HR. And so we're looking at building relationships with universities and some other organizations to really develop our intake for 2024.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, my last question is, what are the challenges that you have encountered in implementing your amortization strategy?
We've had a couple. You talk about skill gap. There is a bit of that. As I say, not every Emirati wants to work in offshore contracting. It's the hard edge of our sector, and so it's not where everybody wants to be. But it is, doing a little bit of marketing here. If you want to be working on world-class engineering projects, McDermott's the place to be. And so it's trying to get engineering graduates to understand what the industry is and what it can offer to them. We also find in compensation is a challenge. Expectations of entry level or early career Emiratis are high. Trying to find a balance of being attractive and meeting those expectations, but also keeping parity and fairness within the organization is a challenge, which is another reason why we're looking at associate level recruitment. We feel we can be much more competitive at that level. But, again, that's a little bit of a journey for us. But at the moment, I'd say those are our 2 biggest challenges.
Okay, Joanne, thank you very much for that insight. Just let us look around to see if there are any questions on the panel. So we have made some announcements, and hopefully this recording will be going live as well. It's being recorded on YouTube. So I want to thank you for your participation. Thank you for joining this discussion. And let's the fair is live, it is open, and we'll be having more people and job seekers joining during the course of the day, today and tomorrow. And hopefully you'll be able to find some good recruits as well for both organizations.
Absolutely. And Dinesh, just to finish, as people are looking at this recording, I really encourage them to go to our McDermott website. Our career page is there. Have a look at our vacancies, apply, reach out to us on LinkedIn. Even if we don't have an opportunity right now, we're very focused on building a future pipeline and creating networks within the Emirati community. So, please reach out to us. We're very interested to talk to candidates.
All right. Thank you very much, Thomas, Peter, Joanne. Thank you very much once again.
Thanks, Dinesh.
And all the best for the career fair.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.